ELI5. Why does pressing my palms against my eyes create a kaleidoscope effect? When you push on your eyes, you stimulate the same parts of it that detect light. Your eyes send this information to your brain as if it was normal light. But it's not, it's useless information. There's nothing to interpret, so you just get a weird, like when you would set an old CRT television to a non-existent channel. It would still try to pick up information, but instead all it gets is noise static. It still tries to interpret it though, because it can't tell the difference. Your eyes are very delicate and sensitive instruments. Pressing them will physically stimulate the cells into firing off signals to the brains the same way getting smacked on the side of the head gives you ringing in the ears. FYI, this is damaging to your eyes, and prolonged or repeated presses will damage your eyes, so you should avoid this or any aggressive rubbing. Beware incorrect answers to this, ones that say it's harmless. I worked in retinal ophthalmology for some years and was actually warned against doing this. A retinal specialist saw me rubbing my eyes at the nurse station and scolded me about how it's applying pressure to my retina and optic nerve. That's why you get the colors and patterns too from mechanically applying force to these photo-receiving cells. And let me tell you from experience, the retina and optic nerve are about as delicate as our anatomy gets. So from then on, when I rub my eyes, I've only applied pressure to the orbital bone. These are called phosphines. They are caused by physical stimulation of the nerves in the eyes. This activates the same photoreceptors in your eyes that normally react to light, and they send a signal to your brain that interprets as a visual signal. It's basically eye static. Oh, am I the only one here who sees kaleidoscope rainbow static all the time? Visual snow, anybody? You are putting enough physical pressure on the nerves to trigger them. The amount of pressure isn't consistent across your eye, so the signals they send are semi-random flashes that change in response to where the pressure is concentrated in your eye. Your eye really isn't built for that though. The pressure can cause damage to the nerves and physical structure of your eye that isn't always easily healed, so you really shouldn't push on your eyes. Am I the only one who sees nothing? These sensations are called phosphines. I learned this from a Trivial Pursuit card in a diner 20 years ago, and it stuck with me. The way I was always taught was that by pressing on your eyes, you're increasing the pressure on your retinas, and cutting off circulation to the nerves the same way as when your leg falls asleep. It's the visual equivalent of that pins and needles feeling. The difference is that your retina is much more oxygen hungry than a random leg nerve, and you can cause permanent damage if you do it too much. While there are plenty of valid scientific answers here, I think there's an important question that no one is asking: do you have kaleidoscopes in your hands when you do this? Because that could also explain what is going on. Do not do this. It can cause permanent damage such as keratoconus, leading to requiring corneal transplants. It's not worth it. The part of your brain connected to your eyes only understands seeing, so when they feel something instead, your brain interprets that as colors. The cones and rods in your eyes respond to and code sight from detecting pressure from teeny tiny light wave particles. When physical pressure is applied from your palms, don't do this to the sclera. A similar sort of sensation is relayed to your optic nerves and you see colors. There are tales of Isaac Newton poking his eyes with needles to understand optics. Again, don't do this. Probably not super healthy. Thank you. I have really wanted to know the answer to this but didn't even think to ask here. As a child, I used to ball my fists up into my eyes and then lie on my front, falling asleep to the trippy swirls. My eyesight is constant kaleidoscope static, but I can also see perfectly fine. Sometimes I just think that my imagination is supreme because I can literally make shapes and see shapes and vibrations with my eyes. I used to do this for hours as a kid. I pretended I was going to space. Maybe that explains why I got so into mushrooms for a little bit. Don't press on your eyes and don't sleep with your eyes pressing on the pillow. I fucked up my left eye because I slept with my eye pressed on the pillow. Doctor said it's not totally fucked, but I lost eyesight and I see a shit ton of white fluff flying around all the time, and I have almost a permanent white spot on the middle of the eye. Just something I learned recently after finally going to an optometrist. If you see a kaleidoscope effect in your vision but you haven't rubbed your eyes, it's probably a vision migraine. They can be before, during or after a real migraine, or you can be an oddball like me and not have any other effects and just wonder why the hell your vision goes to shit randomly. Be careful doing this. I used to do it a lot cause I thought it was neat, but let's just say I'm the only one in my family to have almost flat corneas and horrible vision. When I was little, nobody had told me this. I was kind of stupid. I legit thought I had superpowers and could see the future unknown things. I was 7 or 8 and I would spend hours practicing my powers. I would take a card from a deck, push on my eyes until I thought I knew if it was red or black, and I was convinced I was almost always right. After lots of training, I showed my dad. He called me stupid and told me to say the full card name. Of course I couldn't. Pressing on your eyes compresses the fluid inside your eyeballs, which compresses the various neurological structures in your retinas, propagating signals to your brain. Orbital inflammation and ocular inflammation as well as ocular infection can have similar effects. One thing's for sure, you gotta stop doing that, unless you want some keratoconus. Trust me, you don't want that. I rubbed my eyes a lot as a kid because of allergies. Now I'm legally blind if I don't wear scleral lenses. Because the pressure on the cells in the retina cause signals to the optic nerve that you are seeing something. The randomness of the pressure is translated as random sparks and colors, which your brain tries to find patterns in. The result is a semi-patterned fireworks effect. Thank you OP for asking a 5Yo's question, as this entire thread has been very enlightening. How hard are you guys pressing? Also, if you press your fingers on the exterior side of your eye and maintain it for a few seconds while looking forward, you will slowly go blind. Even if you watch a light, everything will go dark slowly until you release again. I've never experienced this. Is this something that happens to many people? Cool biography by a guy who gained vision decades after he lost it at age 3, Crashing Through by Mike May. The book discusses how he had to learn how to see. A minimum of 4.5k and counting people have now pressed their palms against their eyes. Good work. I don't get this at all, but maybe I'm not pressing hard enough. To a 5-year-old, pushing on your eyes tells your brain you are looking at something. Since you're not, all you end up seeing is your brain looking for patterns. Same but for a 15-year-old, the pressure activates the retina cells that are activated by light, but in a very uniform way, producing static. Your brain then tries to project patterns onto this information to make sense of it. The kaleidoscope effect is a live view of how your brain maps shapes and lines onto real objects. Since it's static with no pattern, it appears as groovy shapes and fractals. They are called photopsias. If you mechanically deform the retina, you can cause some photoreceptors to fire and send signals off to the brain and see lights. Children that are born blind for various reasons can be seen pressing on their eyes with their fingers to enjoy the light show they can create for themselves, sometimes severely damaging their eyeballs in the process. Am I the only one who doesn't have to press on them to get patterns? I just have to close them and it's always a light show. Oh wait, that's HPPD for you lol.